and welcome back to the Ivy Grove channel. My name is Meg Birch. This here is Ziggy, or Cockapoo, and I'm thrilled today to be bringing you the third part of our interview series. Now, the person we are speaking to today is incredibly talented West End and musical theatre star called Hannah Lindsay. Now, before COVID struck, Hannah was performing on the West End in a show called Dear Evan Hansen. So when I asked her if she would chat to me, I was obviously thrilled when she said yes. You're gonna have to be really excited for this one. It's a great chat. We talk about the highs and lows of a career in musical theatre. She gives us some behind the scenes kind of goss, and she also gives us some really kind of insightful tips and tricks of things like how to stay resilient when we get a no at an audition. So I hope you're excited for this. I hope you find it really useful. If you do, leave us a little comment, let us know what you think. But without further ado, here is my chat with the wonderful Hannah Lindsay. Hello, Hannah Lindsay.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am very well. Yes, I'm good. So I've just done a little intro, kind of telling the audience a bit about you, but in your own words. We're talking kind of pre-COVID here. Like, what do you do? What does, again, pre-COVID, what did a normal week, month look like for you? What are you all about?
Okay, so I'm a musical theatre performer and I'm currently contracted to Dear Evan Hansen, which is playing at the Noel Coward Theatre in the West End on St Martin's Lane. And I cover the two mum roles in the show, so Heidi Hansen and Cynthia Murphy. So a normal week for me looks like 8 shows, but going in, being backstage and ready to do my cover. I've actually played both parts now, which is amazing, and really enjoyed playing both. Yeah, it's lots of fun.
Amazing. So obviously I wanted to invite you on here because fulfilled your dream and what a lot of kind of little girls, little boys' dreams of being on the West End. That's literally what you've been doing. So I want to take it back to kind of the beginning. Can you kind of talk us through, like, have you always had a passion for musical theatre, or were you thinking, I want to be a pop star instead? Like, where did that passion for it all come from?
Do you know what? I've actually never wanted to be a pop star because I've just loved telling stories in a musical. I was in love with it since I was a really young child, doing Christmas nativities, and then I got to be in Annie at my amateur theatre group when I was about 11. I remember auditioning for that and landing the role of Annie, and when I did those 2 weeks of shows during the summer that year, I was like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. So yeah, I've never wanted to be a pop star, just purely because I like pretending to be someone else too much rather than being myself. And I enjoy the storytelling aspect of it. So I spent all of my school career singing and being in shows. I spent a lot of time after school at a place called NGM in Bristol, where I got to work on a lot of musical theatre stuff. I met you there.
You did.
And then I ended up auditioning for the Royal Academy of Music through a contact that I made at NGM, and I went and did their postgraduate diploma in musical theatre, and have been working in theatre on and off ever since. I've done so many things that aren't West End, so as magical and beautiful as that is, there is so much work that I think people don't know exists outside of London. So I've done lots of tours. I've European tours, international tours to America, to Asia. I've done like small cabaret shows, like up in Scotland. I've done straight play. So yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. It's a wonderful world to be in.
It's really interesting talking to you because I think the storyline that we're very familiar with is we imagine that every person who is on the West End or in musical theatre has gone down the drama school route. And at the Royal Academy of Music, I assume that was a musical theatre course, but it was a diploma level, did you say? Was that a degree?
Yes, it was. Yeah, so the Royal Academy of Music took me as a wild card because I didn't have an undergraduate degree in performance. So they took me on for a postgraduate diploma on experience. So because I'd worked in a pop opera and I had produced a pop album with NGM and had done some various other things and then auditioned to a high enough standard, they then took me on for that year. So it wasn't a 3-year course. I actually did a 9 months. It was just a 1 year. And actually, I think the course is now accredited as a master's.
Wow.
So I don't know, honestly, if I auditioned for that course now without an undergraduate degree, whether it would work, but it was definitely the right thing for me at the time. And it was very much a vocational qualification that launched me straight into the industry rather than being about theory. If that makes sense. There was not a lot of writing, there was not a lot of academic study. It was more practical work environment, and the contacts that I made were second to none.
One thing that I'm really interested in terms of, I'm always interested like what training people have or haven't had. And I have trained, like I went and did a degree myself in commercial music, so in the pop world. And there were things that I learned while I was there that I felt like would have taken me years and years to learn. Things like the theory side of stuff, or the etiquette of like going into an audition or that sort of thing. So having kind of done your training through NGM and based on experience, have you ever felt like you've really had to put some extra time in to the craft? Or I don't know, like, I guess my question is, I would like to think that drama school isn't always the way. And do you feel that? Do you feel like there are ways to learn these skills without having to pay the ridiculous fees and all this stuff to get into these places?
Yeah, like 100%. I think that what drama school is it's an amazing platform upon which to rebound yourself. But the musical that I'm currently in, there are a couple of just stars who haven't trained at drama school, who have done The Voice purely off the back of their own talent, who have auditioned in an open call for Dear Evan Hansen and were not through an agent and got the job through an open call with no prior training. So, but what I would say is that those people are not untrained in the sense that they have grown up in love with music or art, their craft, and they have honed that in their own time, and they have pursued opportunities within their school setting, their college setting, whatever it is, you know, applying for auditions. Everything that you do is a learning curve. So even if you apply to an open call and you turn up and there's 3,000 people there and you fall flat on your face and sing a bum note, it doesn't matter, because it's another step of experience. It's another brick in the wall. It's another aspect of your learning that means that you're building that platform upon which you can then continue to work. So yeah, I would encourage anyone to not discount any opportunity at all, whether it be drama school, whether it not be drama school, whether it be a contact. If you want to do it, you should go for it and exploit every opportunity you have.
Absolutely. Amazing advice. Leads nicely onto my next question, which is, I feel that musical theatre performers take resilience to the next level. I mean, I feel like, you know, I've definitely had my knockbacks in my career, but all I do is I sing. You guys are triple threats. And so, you know, you've got to, and because you're playing a role as well, you've got to look right, you know, you've basically got to be exactly what they're looking for. So I imagine you've probably had your fair share of knockbacks. So what advice can
100%.
you give? Yeah, what advice can you give in terms of picking yourself back up and not letting it affect kind of your mental health or your self-belief, or like how do you get yourself back up on the horse?
So a really uncomplicated way would be to understand exactly what you said, is that if you don't get it, it's probably because your eyes are the wrong color, or you're an inch shorter than the person they were looking for, or maybe they already chose their leading male and you don't quite fit with that person. I try not to take any of it personally. There are other auditions where I've walked in and I know I've not done my best and I've not given the best version of myself. And those things, again, I've learned as I've gotten older that persecuting myself for those moments doesn't help me to grow. You come out of those moments and you go, what can I learn? And be kind. Like, be kind to yourself. I wouldn't let anyone else come out of an audition where they tried their best and failed and say, well, that was terrible. You did an awful job. You don't deserve to be. I would come out and I'd say, you did amazing. You did your best. It might not have gone perfect. Do better next time. Let's go. Like, so that's how I try and speak to myself now rather than the other way. But yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of knockbacks, and I've had moments where I've come in and out of the industry as well, depending, because I have a daughter now. I spent a year or so looking after her, and I actually took her on tour with me for 3 months. That was mental. But like, you know, there's lots of ups and downs in this industry, is what I would say. And the one thing that I have realized is that the people that I know that are working now are the people that have spent time grafting and not giving up when it's gotten tough, and when they haven't had work for 6 months or a year and it's been really difficult, they've kept going. And a slightly sillier way to think of it is, when I go into an audition, I treat it like going to the toilet. I go in, I do my business, I flush it, I walk away, and I don't think about it again. I don't expect it to come back around.
Yes,
I don't sit and wait and like analyze it. No, I went in, I did my business, flush, walk away, and then if something comes back and you get a phone call, fantastic. And if not, no problem.
That is an amazing way of looking at it. Love it. Wow. Yeah. But it's so interesting that every single person I've spoke to on these interviews seems to have the same approach of, this whole thing of being in the right place at the right time. Yes, I do believe that, you know, part of that is true, but the making sure you're there at the right time is the grafting. And the word grafting seems to always come up, is just keep going. If you believe you can, you will, and it will, you know, something has to happen if you keep kind of going with that. You've touched on something in that last answer that was one of my questions, which was the fact that you have a daughter. Is she called Scarlett?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Little Scarlett. So she's gorgeous. I've seen her all on Instagram and she's lovely. How has that affected work life? How are you finding being a mum? And yeah, like how do you incorporate the world of doing 8 shows a week, but having a daughter as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think I have been grateful for the times when I have been out of work, and the mums that I know in the business are the same. There is a certain ebb and flow aspect to it, and some people do work back to back, and that's amazing. But for me, I've enjoyed those times of quiet because it means I can really invest in her before going into the next period of work.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's not impossible, and I want her to grow up and see me as a woman able to have children and also able to do what I love and want to do. So there have been times where I've thought I kind of want to craft my working life a bit more around her timetable, but she also has been flexible in a way that I've been able to craft her life around my timetable too. So it's push and pull. As I say, I was pregnant when I was on tour, pregnant with her. I took her when she was 9 months on a 3-month tour, but I then had to leave her with my mum on and off and my husband for 6 months while I was on a play, and she saw me every 3 weeks. So, you know, and then I wasn't in work for the next 4 months. So it's one of those things where you just have to. I met a guy once backstage and he was like, oh, when I'm not bored, I'm stressed. And when I'm not stressed, I'm bored. And I remember thinking at the time, well, that's all right, because when you're bored, you can be grateful that you're not stressed. And when you're stressed, you can be grateful that you're not bored. And that's how I feel about it. When I'm working, I'm grateful that I'm working. And then when I'm with her, I'm grateful I can be with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're both learning to deal with it.
That's amazing though, that you've managed to find that balance. It's something I worry about, you know, just think like, how do we continue to do what we love? But I find it extremely inspiring. And, you know, as I say, I've watched you on Instagram. I haven't seen you in a few years, but kind of what you see online, I just think, flipping out, how's she doing that? And being a mum, like, it's absolutely amazing. What's that Beyonce line? She says something like, bear the children and then get back to business. I love that. Like,
that's the one.
That's so what I'm going for. So that's amazing.
Go for it.
We've spoken a little bit about highs and lows. I wondered if you had any stories off the top of your head of something you're extremely proud of and you're like, that to me has been the pinnacle of kind of my career so far? But also if you've got any maybe funny or even kind of slightly sad stories of kind of how flipping diverse, you know, especially your industry can be.
Yeah, so I think my first West End show has got to be the high. Like, I remember standing on that stage at the curtain call and the whole company who was so supportive, because as a cover, you don't have the experience of doing the show every night in that role. You don't have the muscle memory in the same way that someone who's been doing it 8 shows a week can just switch off. So for me, it was a magical moment of just euphoria and adrenaline and being there with the audience just applauding, and the whole company applauding, you know, this person who's had to step into someone else's shoes and deliver the goods. It was an electric moment, and my mum was there, like my mum having driven me to ballet lessons and singing lessons and all of that growing up. I say singing lessons, I didn't have any of those until I went to the Royal Academy, but she's been the most supportive person in the world. So to have her there and to be able to look into her eyes in the audience and be like, we did it, was really, really special. Really, really special.
How did you not bawl your eyes out?
I did. I genuinely did. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Thankfully, Dear Evan Hansen is the kind of show where everyone kind of bawls their eyes out the whole way through.
Oh, fab.
So you can work all of that energy into your storytelling, which is fine. But yeah, it was very emotional. And I remember actually, because I'm always nervous when I perform. And I remember about half an hour before the show went up for that show, talking to myself and saying, you have worked so hard to be here, so enjoy it. Don't allow your nerves to ruin this experience for you, because you have waited a really long time to get here. So I'm learning as well as I get older to enjoy my nervous energy and channel it into the excitement of what I'm doing, rather than allowing it to cripple me, which I have done in the past. I mean, so many stories I could tell. So there's this one show, while we're talking about tears, there's this one show I auditioned for that put a very specific call out for circus performers. Right. Now, my agent called me for an audition for this. He said, I've got you an audition. And I said, well, I thought it said circus performers. He said, oh, no, you'd be covering one of the leads, so it'll be a movement call at the very most. I turned up to this audition, and we, no crash mats, were required to cartwheel, roly-poly, breakdance freezes on our shoulders. I mean, my shoulders, like I don't have a whole lot of upper body strength here. It was so hilarious, and I'm not going to lie to you, I was not the right girl for the job.
Oh, I literally would have wanted to die. Oh.
But I walked out of the audition and I called him and I said, never again. Never again. If it says circus performer, just count me out. Because I mean, we say triple threat. And whilst I have trained in dance, that was a whole nother level of life that I was just not in any way prepared for.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. Do you know what that reminds me of? I really hope, are you a Friends fan?
Oh yeah, I enjoy Friends.
You know when Joey has like all these things on his like resume?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Can you really drink a gallon of milk? And he's like, yeah. I can. Feel like you'd just be like, cross out anything to do with circus. It's not happening.
It does not pay to lie on your CV. It doesn't.
Oh no.
It does not pay.
Have you
Not that I'd put it on there. I don't want you to be under the impression that I'm flouting my CV as having circus performer on it.
Oh, no. I wasn't. Yeah, I can do, you know, aerial thing, and then you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I can stand on my head, no problem.
Any like, I always find these interesting because I've had too many that I really wish this wasn't the case, but like car crash stories of gigs. Like I've had ones where I did a wedding last year and I was doing a first dance, and midway through we had a power cut. And it was the most awkward situation. So I've had that. I've had Torrential rain where we've had marquees just like leaking onto our gear. Like, I mean, way worse, but like they're not PG, so I won't say, but we've seen some things, shall we say, as well. But musical theatre and those sorts of shows, they're normally so slick. Have you ever had a moment where you've literally been like, open the floor, this is just all going wrong?
Yeah, babe, I have. So when I was doing this pop opera, which is based on the story of Esther, who is meant to be the most beautiful girl in the kingdom, and so I had this long, straight, dark hair, this wig, and it was stunning. And I was doing the dance with the king, so this moment where the king picks this girl as the most beautiful girl in the whole kingdom to be his wife. And so there's this romantic dance, and there's lifts in it, and I'm being lifted up and like twirled around, and my wig fell off.
Oh no! Did you have a wig cap?
I had a wig cap on, so my hair's like under a stocking. So I didn't even have my own hair like bound out. It was like I looked bald, completely bald. Hair pins to my head.
Check her out, prettiest girl in the land.
Look at that gorgeous
Bold
girl. What a catch. It was vile. It was awful. And I literally finished the dance so gracefully, picked up my wig and walked. Because what else can you do? You just have to, like, the show must go on. So you can't like cry. You can't go, I'm so sorry, let me put this back on in front of however many hundred people. Like, crack on. That is pretty horrendous. I'll give you that.
It's brutal. Well, I think I only have about maybe one question left, which is,
let's do it.
What advice would you give your younger self or someone else starting out today?
Don't be afraid to blow your trumpet, because nobody else is going to blow it for you. And even if there are 25 other people blowing it for you, they cannot do for you what you can do for yourself to get yourself through the door. And I think sometimes it's vanity to go, oh, I'm shy. If you want it, take it. And do it because you're talented and you want to serve the people you're giving your gift to, and you want to serve yourself, and you want to serve the people that have put the gift inside of you and have financed you, whether it be parents, grandparents, friends, relatives, anyone. You owe them and you owe yourself your best shot. So don't be shy and don't be nervous. Grab it by the horns and go for it. Is my advice.
I'm taking that advice myself. Even if we're in different sectors of music, I am taking that. That's great. That's so inspirational. And it's a bit of a weird question with kind of COVID going on, but anything you want to promote or anything you're up to, or hopes and dreams for the future once, fingers crossed, things get slightly back to normal, or anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, so I've got a few things in the pipeline at the moment, which is exciting. I've got a couple of Christmas gigs coming up in West London. So by the time the podcast airs, I don't know what they might have already finished. But the big thing I would like to plug is that I am a trustee for a charity that was set up in my sister's name. So my youngest sister had cerebral palsy, and so there is a charity up in Lincolnshire where we grew up that has been set up by my best friend in her name that delivers therapy to children and adults with neurological disabilities. And I'm fundraising at the moment. So I've pulled together all my West End friends, and on December 11th at 6:30 p.m. we are going to air a live online concert. So I'll be chatting live with Sarah, my friend, and all these West End friends of mine have sent in material that I can play on the evening of exclusive performances so that we can raise funds for this centre. And then keep your eyes peeled, because after the concert there'll be more fundraising coming up. We did the 3 Peaks in September, and we've got more coming up in the new year. So yeah, I would love any donations to Naomi's Garden. I'll probably put the link up of the concert after it's up so people can see some of the best bits. But yeah, that's the big thing I want to plug at the moment.
Amazing. Well, we are going to have that link in our description box, so please do donate, people. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you, Hannah. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. Good luck with everything. I am rooting for the theatres to get back open. Fingers crossed by this time next year things are a lot different, and sending you tons of love. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed that. It was such a pleasure to talk to Hannah, and I hope you found it really interesting and really eye-opening. Please be sure to check out all the links in our description box. We'll have links to what Hannah's up to, her Instagram links, all her socials, and also a link to Naomi's Garden, the wonderful charity she spoke about at the end of the interview. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell if you'd like to stick around for more interviews, more covers, more tutorials. We're really growing as a community, and it's so lovely every single time we see that someone has subscribed, so thank you so much if you have already. Subscribing is completely free. All that will happen is you'll get a nice little notification from us every week saying we've uploaded, and you can go and show your support. So honestly, thank you so much, and we'll see you next Sunday. Goodbye. Bye.